Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he's going to be in trouble this year. I think Mike Tomlin has to have a long playoff run, preferably get to the Super Bowl, at least get to the AFC Championship game. Anything less than that, I believe that he's not going to be no longer the Pittsburgh Steelers coach. Now, the Rooney family, they don't normally fire coaches, because of public perception. I believe they only have, 3 or 4 coaches in their whole history of their franchise. So, I won't be surprised if they keep him after this year, even if he don't make the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, in my opinion, over the last at least 3 seasons, they have had the best, in my opinion, the best running back, at least the top 1 or 2 running backs, in Le'Veon Bell, the best wide receiver, and Antonio Brown, and a top 5 quarterback. Now, the defense has not performed like they used to do back in the old days, or even 5 or 6 years ago. They don't have the same defense, but that offense is tremendous. They have a tremendous offense, and to me, they have underachieved. But now, do I think Mike Tomlin has had a great career with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Of course, he's been to 2 Super Bowls. He won 1. He's been to the playoff multiple times. And I believe he's a good coach. Now, some people that think he's not a X and O's type coach. They think he's more of a what you're gonna say, a rah-rah coach, to get you more like a Pete Carroll, in a sense that gets the players ready to go on game day, get them hyped. Some people call him a cheerleader, which I don't think the man is a cheerleader. I think that's going way too far, being very disrespectful. But from Antonio Brown not showing up to practice this Monday, from Antonio Brown doing a Facebook Live while Coach Tomlin is giving a speech in the locker room, from Le'Veon Bell, doing the things that he do. Now, I'm not blaming the fact that Le'Veon Bell has not reported to camp due to contract issues, but you have players come out and talk about he needs to be there. To me, Mike Tomlin should have got out in front of that and told the players, absolutely do not, say anything about Le'Veon Bell's contract situation. We're going to stay away from that. He's not part of the team until he reports, to the team. So, to me, that's part of leadership. That's all part of leadership. And no, Le'Veon Bell signing or not signing, or not reporting to the team is not on Mike Tomlin. But it's perception, man. There's a lot of things that are, piling up against Mike Tomlin. And it's a perception that, when you're a minority coach, that everything has to be tight, everything has to be close knit. You have to walk a fine line. You have to, because Mike Tomlin has been winning. So winning is not enough sometimes, especially when you're in the position that he's in. A lot of it, some of it is on him, his leadership. A couple years back, he tripped a guy running up the field on the either, I think that was a kickoff return or a punt return, one of them. So that didn't bode well for him. He has had, former players on his staff, notably Joey Porter, that, was not a great role model as far as a coach on the staff, and getting into it with opposing players, going on the field. It's just that of late, when Mike Tomlin first came in, he was a no-nonsense, had everything, close to the vest, had everything tight-lipped, had better control of the team. By his 3rd year, he went to the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, and only his 3rd year. And he's been with Pittsburgh for the last 11 years. So he's one of the longest, if not the longest. Well, he's not the longest tenure coach. That's Bill Belichick, I know, but I think he's the second longest tenure coach in the NFL. So he has been doing things very well to keep his job for 11 years. It's just that with the perception of him losing the locker room with some players, and Antonio Brown not showing up this week to practice, the team has been struggling. They struggled against Cleveland in the opener, had a tie game there, and then you had a rookie, not a rookie quarterback, but a second-year quarterback in his first year of starting. Patrick Mahomes throw not a record 6 touchdowns, but throw 6 touchdowns against your defense. and that defense to me has not been, up to par. Mike Tomlin, I believe he was a defensive coordinator or a defensive guy, defensive coach. And for your defense not to perform well and your offense is performing, carrying the team over the last at least 5 years, that's a referendum on Mike Tomlin. He got to get that defense together. Now, they have had some draft picks come in, and that most notably that secondary has been bad. So he said that they shored up the secondary with some young draft picks, and now he said the draft picks are playing well, but not against Kansas City. But let's see what happens, man. Usually Pittsburgh Steelers around about week 5 or 6 they get their tread and they start playing very well. But it just seemed like when they get to the playoffs, they don't. Last year against the Jacksonville Jaguars, they lost that game in a firefight game. Where the defense did not perform. The offense stepped up, but the defense did not perform. And in the AFC, you're not gonna, in the NFL period, you're not gonna go that far if your defense is that terrible. So let me know what y'all think about Mike Tomlin. Do y'all think if he don't make the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game, will he be fired? I think he will be, because I think perception and a lot of build-up of other things is going against Mike Tomlin. I'm out.